Hi, I'm Bill Malik. Today I'm going to be presenting a joint solution from EnterpriseWeb and Snowflake, which enables telco-grade agentic AI and multi-domain autonomous networking. This is the second in our series of 4 videos. Previously we covered the creation of a zero-copy, no-code integration between EnterpriseWeb and Snowflake, which allowed us to expose enriched objects from the AI Data Cloud through an MCP interface that could be used by an agent. In this demo, I'm going to use the EnterpriseWeb platform to create a set of domain-specific agents, one for managing services, one for managing network functions, and then a coordination agent that we can use to leverage the capabilities of each of those discretely and together to do advanced things like deploy network services, examine their health, and so on, and even respond to things like AI ops events. So we're going to go ahead and actually speak to the EnterpriseWeb system through a CLI here that's already authorized. So this entire conversation will now be driven by the ontology, as was the integration with the Snowflake Data Cloud earlier. Just in this case, it's being used to direct a conversation that will generate agents. Do I want to create a new one? I want to create a new one. It's identifying a host that I might use for actually posting the agents, which I will go ahead and use. And from there though, now it's just a matter of really answering the questions and following along. I would like a service management agent. I want it to implement a pattern of a worker orchestrator, which is going to allow it to actually execute commands, not only answer queries. I want it to inherit the EnterpriseWeb security model. I want it to use a Cortex LLM. I want it to inherit our Telecom Ontology so that it can actually drive operations that will be specific to telecoms. From there, I want to say that this will be a standalone agent. This is literally going to be an agent that will handle the service domain for me, and it will interact with other agents. So we'll start there. Now we're at a point where we're identifying a module in the EnterpriseWeb platform, or a persona that we want this agent to take on. So this will give it the abilities to order services and manage them. So let's go ahead and do that. Do we want to allow any additional endpoints? So this is the point where we want to say, well, yes, this agent is going to be able to interact with Snowflake, right? So using that MCP inventory that you saw earlier, we want this agent to have secure and controlled access to that. So we'll go ahead and give it that capability. And as we go along, it's informing us what exactly the cumulative capabilities are of this agent. It can use our service manager capabilities, and it can query inventory through that Snowflake endpoint. So right now we're happy with it. And then it starts to ask other questions. It realizes that Snowflake has the ability to support things like semantic models, so semantic views, which would be really handy to be able to analyze the use of the agent. So we'll go ahead and we'll authorize that. So it's starting to already weave in some pretty exciting capabilities here just from a simple conversation. We want to expose standard interfaces as well, and we would like this to actually go into an OpenShift cluster as well. So we'll go ahead and just say yes. So just like that, it's already been deployed and created. It's got management capabilities around it, and there's even a zip file here we could deploy to any cluster we might want. So we can run this agent completely how to say, independent of EnterpriseWeb, just benefiting from those capabilities that we just described. I'm going to go ahead now and just create a second agent really quick. Right? I want one that's going to be able to work with basically the network functions that make up the services, and I want it to be able to do things like work with Ansible. So let's just go ahead and do that really quick. So we're going to make a new agent. Yes, we'll host it in the same place. This will be our agent config. Agent for configuration, that'll be the name. It will also be a worker. It will have the same kind of security model. We will use Cortex again. Again, it's going to be a standalone agent, only this time it's going to be used for application configuration and management. Yes, we'd like an additional endpoint. We'd like to be able to work with Ansible. Right? So at any point in here in the conversation though, we could take a different path. We could actually onboard new things. If this agent has new capabilities, a new MCP server, a new data source, we could walk through a basic conversation here to configure one. Right now we'll use the Ansible that was out of our, basically out of our catalog. And at this point we're pretty happy. So let's just go quickly here. Yes, we would like to deploy, and so our agent is now created. Okay, now that we have our two domain-specific agents in place, I'm going to just create a coordination agent. Again, following basically the same path, but now you'll see how it's slightly different. We'll call this our coordinator. It's going to follow a different pattern, which is a multi-agent system. It'll use the same security model, and now we get questions like whether or not we want to actually delegate our security out to the other agents, right? If they should inherit from us or not. So we'll say yes. We'll implement what we call an agent router, which is basically EnterpriseWeb will use a small LLM to help us decide how we're going to interact with this multi-agent system. Obviously, there's other options we could have here if we wanted to script out something in a more traditional way. We'll go ahead with an agent router. We'll use Cortex again to derive those decisions. This multi-agent system will work in the telecom space. And now what we're talking about is what do we want to coordinate? Those two agents that we created earlier, do we want to add others, a single one? So let's go ahead and add all of them. We also want a chat interface over the top so we can interact with this directly. And now it asks some other sort of value adds. This is going to be a distributed transaction since we're using multiple agents almost by definition. So do we want to add EnterpriseWeb's middleware capabilities? If it fails for any reason, reaching one of the agents, etc., it'll roll back transactions and things like that on our behalf automatically. So that's obviously something we would like. So we'll go ahead and do that. Add additional interfaces onto it, deploy it. And just like that, we've created our set of agents as well as a coordination agent with an NLP interface that will allow us to talk to our network. In this demo, you saw how we were able to rapidly design land graph agents, domain-specific agents, one for service management, one for application configuration, and then design a coordination agent over the top that would be able to deliver multi-domain orchestration to network functions that were going to be deployed over Snowflake. In the next demo, you'll see me continue on and actually use that agent to talk to the network to deploy a network service. Be sure to watch the other demos in the series. Thank you.